Hello, hello, hello. Well, welcome to another segment of Naked with Dr. Money. I am Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, CEO of ZenoVerse Wellness Group and 420 Wellness Jamaica. And I am so happy because chapter 23, I think, is going to be awesome and is all about, telling your truth. That's really what Naked with Dr. Money is about. It's really about a behind the scene look and my ability to share sort of how I deal with the responsibilities of my role in building this startup multinational wellness company. Many of you know I was recently on a journey of finishing law school. In the midst of that, in the midst of a global um, health pandemic where people are thinking about their health and wellness, and with experiencing, sadly, people being ill, people losing their lives, and then all of the shock and trauma that we all experienced, also healing myself. So I took it all on, and mind, body, and soul was the desire with that healing. And so today, what I want to talk about is because we're at the beginning of the year, and at the beginning of the year, it's an opportunity to sort of reset, to recast, to re envision where it is we want to go. Whatever it is that you didn't finish in 2022, well, that chapter is closed. Now you've got a fresh start to begin anew. And so oftentimes I hear people talking about, well, I'm going to create a vision board. And, how does that work? Why is that important? And all of those things. And I'll tell you, I have lived by a vision board. That, amongst many others, was one of the awesome, awesome gifts my mom gave me. And she gave me that gift when I was very young. I don't know, some of you probably have heard this story. It's a little funny, but I got caught making fake credit cards because, you know, at 9, I was playing business as I often did, and my business had everything. I had every real estate form, every Mary Kay cosmetic form that was left over. I had, forms and calculators. I was doing 10 key by touch before I knew what that meant. My dolls were my customers, so it was intense. And so we had gone out that day and I saw that other stores had credit cards. So of course, my business wouldn't be complete unless I had credit cards. So that was my assignment for the day. I come home, I find index cards, I copy each logo, then I find her photo album refills, I cut them, I cover each card, I take a straight pen and carefully, okay, now I'm really telling my age, pin prick each letter and number. I know young people, hang in there. You know nothing about this, but there used to be a time that in order to complete a credit card transaction, you had to get an imprint. And it was that imprint that the store used to redeem the credit cards. Okay. So I perfectly had perfected my card. I had tested it with a piece of paper and the pencil. And right at that moment, she comes in the room with a what are you doing? That's the what that you know. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Carefully answer that question because everything you say is going to determine what happens next. I was quick. I was quick on my feet. I said, Mom, I know what I'm going to be. And so she kind of let out that, exhale, like this better be good. I said, I see myself. I am going to be an international business tycoon. And she kind of let out a little laugh. Because at that moment, she was like, what next? You're going to be counterfeiting money. Like, what is this kid at 9 thinking about that would make her think she needed to make counterfeit credit cards? But what she did next is what was brilliant. She said, baby, tell me more. And it was at that time at 9 years of age that I told her what I could see in my mind. And I said, Mom, I'm in the boardroom. I'm wearing a navy blue pinstripe suit. The San Francisco Bay Bridge is out of the back of the window. Everyone is paying attention to me. It's my company. I'm in charge. And it was interesting because at that time, the then wealthiest man in the world was a Middle Eastern deal maker, and I wanted to be a deal maker. So, you talk about that moonshot at 9, right? And then you talk about, well, when does that happen? Is that setting an intention? Right? That was so far ago. And so along our life, we end up at different destinations that we think may be destinations, only to realize that they're really only stops along the journey. And so sometimes we come across people that we don't know, is it for a reason? Is it for a season? Or is it for a lifetime? And at that time, we just don't know. But today, guys, I am so happy to share with you one of my dear friends who, again, when we found one another, we were just what we needed. I had newly relocated to Los Angeles, and then I was in a bad car accident. And it's funny how guys know women. Guys tend to pick the best chicks that'll hit it off, right? Because they know. And so it was a guy that put Stacy and me together, and we have been on a journey for over 30 years. And so before, though,
Wow, 30
start
years.
our conversation, I want to tell you a little bit about Stacy, because not only is she a friend, she's really a sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's really that friend that, you go through that journey where you don't always agree. Sometimes you don't even agree. You don't even talk, but you pick up the phone, and when you do, it's just like you spoke yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we've both continued our journeys from where we were in our 20s when we met.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy Y. Clark, MED, an advocate for longhand journaling as a mode of meditation and manifestation, is a social entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
personal development thought leader, philanthropist, author, and adult educator with 20 plus combined years in IT, communications, training, project management, personal development, and design thinking. And I really love the design thinking. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to have you talk a little bit more about that because I think it's critical at this time.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, she combines her professional skills, methodologies with principles and practices she discovered in her proprietary research in the areas of positive psychology,
Mm-hmm.
neurology, and wellness. And
Mm-hmm.
so as a result, she offers for individuals of all ages from all walks of life a systematic personal development approach to healing, growing, and thriving in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And she teaches people about authentic lifestyle design, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. But her new wellness company you can find more about at stacyclark.com. And this
Mm-hmm.
is where she's going to offer her wellness journals and additional opportunities to submit work, I guess, or to receive work around wellness through her
Mm-hmm.
wellness-based publishing company.
Yeah.
So with that, hey, Stace, how you doing, Mama?
I'm doing great, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me join you here today. What a wonderful opportunity to look at your life and to look at your journey and to be a part of it. And yes, we go back 30 plus years. It's so weird to say that. Like I remember our first meetup at Norms. Remember we met at Norms and sat there giggling for forever, like we knew each other. It's so funny.
It was, and I remember it like yesterday, and then I just remembered the journey. I didn't know it was my first time away from home because I had moved away from college, but because I moved, starting my own business, expanding my own business, it wasn't like I had a built-in network, and then I didn't realize how shy I was about this whole, entering out, and thankfully I had some friends, but I definitely needed a real girlfriend.
Stephanie, one of the things that I think you've always had in ACEs is courage. So, in spite of the shyness, in spite of maybe the lack of a network, you stepped out with so much courage, right? Because it takes a lot of courage to move from one city to another city, especially Los Angeles. Los Angeles is hard for people who were born and raised to navigate. And you came into Los Angeles ready to go. Like, I'm ready to make some things happen, you know? So yeah, it took a lot of courage to do that though.
And you're right. I think a lot of times I forget that not only was it that courage, it was even with, sort of Joel Osteen talks about sometimes we meet people along our journey that gives us the Judas kiss. And
Mm,
that kiss seems to be a kiss of negativity. And remember, I don't know if I had shared, but right before the weekend before I moved to LA, my
mm,
grandmother told me that I was stupid, I was going to fail. She hoped I didn't get kidnapped and raped and put into prostitution. I mean, she dumped every possibility of negativity she could on me, and it terrified me.
oh, wow. She just
It
didn't want you to go.
She just didn't want me to go. At the time,
You were her girl.
man, I didn't know, you know what I mean? But think about that, and so it informed all of my decisions. And I think that fear is probably what even drew the intention of why I was in the bad accident, so soon there, because that would have given me an opportunity to escape. But it was at that time that I feel like I began that journey of courage. But I thought it was strength because I said I I I'm not strong because, I would cry myself to sleep at night. And then I go, but this is my business that I want to grow. So, it's your idea. It's your idea. So what are you going to do? And it's like, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. But sometimes, you question yourself.
So I really think that it's a combination of the two. I think it's hard to have courage unless there is a certain amount of resilience and strength that you already had. And one thing I knew about you as soon as I met you is that you had a lot of discipline. And that's something that a lot of people don't have, especially a lot of the younger people. And I don't know what that is. I don't think that's me. But a lot of people don't have discipline. And discipline is one of those foundational things that when you have been able to discipline yourself and set your sights and your focus on something and commit to seeing it through, then you can find the courage and you can find the strength to do it because you know where you're headed, right? And I think that I know that that's one of the things that I picked up about you very early on was that you were very, very, very disciplined. I found out about the courage later. You know, I didn't know that you needed courage because I was already living there. And to me, you don't need courage, right? But I figured it out later that yes, it takes a lot of courage. And not until I moved to another city myself that I realized how much courage it takes to live somewhere outside of your comfort zone.
It
Mm.
is. And it was interesting because really why I thought our conversation would be so valuable, especially this time of the year, but also because, as you know, we were, sharing, acknowledging my completion of law school. And
Yes.
you text me back, hey, 20 years ago, you said it and I knew you were going to do it. And I said to you, oh my God, then that means that you held space with me. You're part of the reason that I was able to do it because, again, so often we don't understand the power of our words. We don't understand the power of
No,
our
I
words.
agree with you. I
And we
agree.
don't understand the power of how those words, when someone is sharing something that they are aiming or intending, that's like
Mhm.
a newborn, that's an embryo, that's a seed connecting.
Yeah.
And how that seed is nurtured and developed determines everything about if that seed comes to fruition, right? And
Right.
so when you said it, I was like, oh my God, we must have this conversation because a lot of times people don't understand the importance and the value of holding space for someone
For
and
each other. Yes.
for each other, for
Hmm.
each other.
Agreed.
And that was why I could say that, when I say I felt like I hit the wall and fell off when my mom died, it was because we had gotten to a place where she held space for me. and it
Mhm.
was my safe space. But
Yeah.
I didn't have any more developed spaces because I felt like I was going to have her because she was young and, I'm going to have my mother for a long time. So that space is a perfect space and cool. I can go ahead and fly.
Yeah.
Um, but, it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. Well, you said something else too when you were talking about your grandmother and the Judas kiss piece. And I met your grandmother. I have a picture of your grandmother. And one thing I realized being with your mother and your grandmother on our little trip up there, I don't know if you remember, we took the
I
trip. I
do.
had so much fun with you guys, by the way. But one of the things I realized early on is how much they relied on you. And I don't mean necessarily like you weren't, paying everybody's bills. Maybe you were, I don't know. But they relied on your input. They really, both your mom and your grandmother really wanted your impression of things. They wanted your interpretation of things. They wanted your advice. It's like, and I saw you got a little overwhelmed because it was a lot. Stephanie, should we do this? Should we do that? Stephanie, I mean, they really valued your input. And so when we think about your grandmother and her, giving you the Judas kiss, I think in my mind, it was probably more about her not wanting to lose, her better half. Everybody talks about their better half. Well, I think that she probably saw you in that very light, and she saw you leaving her as being, so she was in survival mode. So give grandma grace is what I'm saying. Okay. At this
Which
point,
you're right.
she
You're
just
absolutely, you're so right.
she
I mean,
trusted so much. She
yeah.
really had a mad trust for you and a mad belief in your skills and your abilities. So
And that's so true. I appreciate, and it's so nice to hear from somebody else's lens because sometimes, we can't see. We're living our life.
yeah,
We can't see how our life is showing up through the lens of someone else,
right.
which is why it's so important again to have these spaces, right? Because sometimes we too can be off course. And or sometimes people don't understand why we are the way we are. And so when you mentioned about the level of discipline that I had, well, the thing is, and their dependence, which is so interesting that in truth, from the time that I was about 7 or 8 years old,
Mhm.
I was being in required to make sort of like adult like decisions. And part of it was, again, at 9, I made a bunch of sort of adult like decisions. And I was forced to honor my 9-year young word.
Mhm.
So, and then what ended up happening was because they made me hold space for all of the adults who should have had emotional maturity. I didn't learn it until years later that I had been a bit of, it was little emotional abuse. They were putting a little bit much on a kid. I was holding space for adults. And
Mhm.
then they didn't like that person that I became of, I saw, people, when I tell people that, my mother took ill and we had a choice, we could have gone across town and stayed at my grandmother's, but instead she wanted to stay home. But that meant that at 11, I had to be able to drive the car to the grocery store, not get caught on the main street, add up and buy all the groceries with the cash that I had in my pocket with precision. So my math skills, my, picking what needed to be bought, drive the car back home. Oh, drop off the kid at daycare and then get on the bus and go to junior high school. Well, not even junior high school then. I was still 11 then. So, not until later, another year or so before I'm in junior high school. And so, you think about,
It
yeah,
was a lot. It was a lot of pressure to put on a young person, especially if you saw other young people who weren't getting all of that. But also, what I'm hearing is that they trusted you implicitly. And I don't know about you, but at 8 or 9 years old, the only thing I trusted my kids to do was to be kids, to leave their toys on the floor, to, do some things that are going to drive me a little mad as a parent. But it really, and, Stephanie, you're an only child, right? And so you were all of their hopes and dreams made manifest, and they live vicariously through you. They poured everything, including their trust, all of their dreams, everything are sitting on your cute little shoulders there. And they've been in all of that. That's a lot to carry, right? Because those are your ancestors at this point that you started carrying on your shoulders at 9 years old, or maybe even younger than that. What, 6, 7, however, whatever age it is that you showed yourself to be a bit of a prodigy, that'll teach you to show off, right? That'll teach you. But they believed you. They absolutely believed you, and they poured everything. They poured it all right into you, and they said, "She is our greatest dream, our everything made manifest. You are the person that they had hoped you would be, and you have done it. Seriously, everything that they poured into you. I know it was hard. I know that it was difficult at times. It may have been even lonely sometimes, but look at you now, right? Because what if they didn't believe in you the way that they did? I mean, we've seen a lot of people not accomplish all the things that you've accomplished. You and I have been walking along, and we've seen a whole bunch of people start, stop, fall off, do all kinds of craziness, but you've stayed the road. And I think a large part of it is because of those stretch years. That's what I'm gonna call them. Those were your stretch years. And you know what they say, um, if you don't stretch, right?
Right.
You're going to shrink. You
Sure.
either stretch or you shrink. And they stretched you. They stretched you early, so it was hurtful. And it's definitely they stole your childhood. But if we decided, this is jumping into our design thinking now, if we reframed that thought and reframed it to say that they didn't steal it, they invested heavily.
Hmm.
They invested so heavy that they overinvested, right? But they did. They invested heavily in what they hoped you would one day become.
So let's talk about that because I'm very interested in because reframing is definitely important. And I think it's also along this journey, which I'll continue to share. Naked with Dr. Money is mind, body, and soul because I did get a breakthrough
Hmm.
in 2020.
Hmm.
And that's what bits and pieces I'll continue to share. But how does one use or rely upon authentic lifestyle design? How does the
Right.
process begin?
Authentic lifestyle design is um, it's kind of based, not kind of, it is heavily based on design thinking. However, it's including project management. So you're projectizing your personal development, which means that you set goals and you make real plans, and then you take one step at a time. So just like in regular project management, where you work the lag, excuse me, you work the lead and you wait for the lag. Well, it's the same thing with ALD, but it puts you in a space so that you can systematically see your growth over time. I don't believe in magic wands. I do believe in manifesting, but I don't believe that manifesting is magic. I believe manifesting is focusing and intention, and it's a culmination of bringing both your focus, your words, and your actions together to make something happen in your life, right? I believe that once you have accepted that something amazing is going to happen, that the universe does kind of part the way for you, you start to see things different. I'm going to use this analogy. Have you ever bought a new car, and
Yes.
right after you bought it, you noticed all the other ones that look like yours,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I
It
never noticed so many of these, right? Why are there so many cars that look like mine all of a sudden? I never saw so many. But once it was in your life, you could see it. Once you manifested and had that in your life, you could see all the rest of them. Well, it's the same thing with anything else. When you start manifesting, when you start focusing and bringing something specific into your life, you will start seeing more of that in your life. You open up your eyes to it. And so that's, to me, that is the magic of manifesting, right? It's like, oh, that's where it is. Okay, I see that now. And you can do it in, I believe there are 10 dimensions of wellness, And you can do it in every one of your dimensions of wellness. And that's what ALD does. It helps you to work through each of your dimensions of wellness systematically and one at a time. So, and I won't tell you to be patient. I never tell anybody, do not ask the universe or God to give you patience. That's asking for problems, right?
Oh my
You learn patient.
God. Exactly.
We'll do that. We are very careful of what we ask for. Okay.
Oh,
Be very careful of what you ask for, because the old saying, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. Well, yeah, you might get it and all the stuff that comes with it, right? Things come with other things. And a lot of times we don't realize that. So this authentic lifestyle design helps you to work through, okay, wait, what am I really asking for? Okay, I'm asking for the wrong thing. I am not asking for the thing that's going to help me meet this challenge. Right now, I'm asking for something, that it's because I want it, right? But our wants change, right? Wants kind of go with emotions frequently. So we need some things that are going to be lasting. Stephanie, when you talk about your childhood and you made these declarations early on, and your family kind of became your manifestation partners because they were like, "Oh, she wants that. Well, let's make sure we give it to her now," right? So again, be careful what you ask for, what you say you want, because you will get it, and especially when other people are holding space with you.
well, that's the part is I didn't realize it until I got far enough along the journey. And really, I think when I connected with Dr. Oliver,
Mm-hmm.
when that happened and I saw all of this international and stuff in at that very moment when I looked around and said, OMG, this is that company. This is this is the business. That along the way, I would be frustrated sometimes, you work, great career, moved into real estate development and just, love, 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 but won't give me, I'm doing three people's jobs and I can't even get a decent salary of one, right? No retirement, never going to earn
But
anything
you didn't
beyond.
ask for all that.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's what I'm saying. I want people to become very deliberate about what they're asking for, because you will get it. Yes, you will get exactly what you asked for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you get
And you won't recognize it because it won't feel the way you thought it was going to feel.
well, what I realized is when I asked for courage
Mm-hmm.
or when I asked for strength,
Hmm.
the Almighty and the ancestors give you the experiences so that when you conquer the experience, then now you've conquered that request, right? So, what I realized, and even why I have such a space of gratitude, I realized that it's me who set the intention to be international, to have this global business, to do all of these particular things.
Yeah.
And every experience along the way was giving me the muscles and the tools
Mm-hmm.
necessary to be right where I am along my life journey. And it's so funny because
Right.
Saturday we were speaking and I'm running here, I'm running there. And you were like, no, stop.
Slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Take a moment. And Stace, that's so valuable as well. So with ALD,
Mm-hmm.
how is this done? Is it done over a period of time or kind of tell us a little
It's
bit?
all on your time. So it's authentic lifestyle design. And so just in the title itself lets you know that it's about you. So it's on your time. You're taking, because you have enough time. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
You have enough time. It's a matter of you prioritizing and managing your time, but you've got enough time, right? So you pick and choose which dimension of wellness you want to focus on. The 10 dimensions are emotional, environmental, financial, family, intellectual, occupational, spiritual, reproductive, social, and spiritual. So that sums up all of the dimensions, right? So you get to so first I have you do a little questionnaire where you kind of shade in how you're doing in each area, right? And this is going to be based on your own personal goals for each area. So, Stephanie, if you say my goal is I'll just pick two. If my goal in financial is to make 1.2 million over the next year, right? After tax. We got to be specific because the universe and our own brains can't take a joke, right? We have to be very specific. So 1.2 million after tax, not shared. This is my take home. This is my part. Say that's your goal for financial, and then say that your goal for emotional is to develop more effication or more self advocacy, but be specific, right? I want to advocate for myself in whatever area you feel like maybe you're not advocating for yourself enough. Okay, so then say those are your goals. Then you would ask yourself, okay, how much of that am I experiencing now? And then you shade in the amount of that you're doing now. So say a financial, if you're closer to, maybe 100,000 than a million, then maybe you would shade in 25%, and then, or even less, because you go 12%. And then maybe in the self advocacy, maybe you're already feeling like you're starting to show up for yourself, but you could use a little bit more focus and a little more push. So maybe you say, well, I'm about 75% there. I just need to know that I know that when I walk into a room, I am my biggest advocate and I speak up for myself, right? And so maybe you say you're 75% in that one. If you're 25% in one or 12% in one and 75 in the other, then the one you need to work on first is the one that you're 12% in, which would be financial. Okay. So then you would grab, I have these workbooks.
Nice.
Books, they help you to, and so there is what the little shading looks like. I'm crazy, but so you go through your workbook every day. So you've got affirmations and you have basically a plan, and it's a daily practice. So it is a values based, a values, a wellness, what am I saying? It's a values based, wellness driven program. So the idea is that you're building wellness in your own life, but it's based on your values, not someone else's. And how you know it's your values is because you set the goal. You set the goal on what you want authentically in your life. And everybody's going to be different. What I want in my life is going to be different than what you want in each of your 10 dimensions of wellness. So when you're weighing yours, you're going to weigh it differently than I am. So that's what makes it authentic, because every day you're working towards something that is authentic to you.
And how long does one typically work on a process? So if I was working on the financial piece, for example, is that a year-long journey, or how is it that you introduce the concept to people?
So every book is worth 3 months. It's 90 days. Okay. That doesn't mean that you're going to hit your total mark in 90 days, but it does mean that you have 90 days that you carved out of your life. And you said, this is what I'm going to focus on for 90 days. If you haven't met or haven't moved the level up as much as you'd like to, then grab another one and go for another 90 days. But at least you've given yourself 3 months. So I think in a perfect world, you can work on about 4 dimensions of wellness in 1 year. I do not suggest that you try to do all of them at once. But I can say that some of them work in tandem, because financial wellness and occupational wellness work very well together, right? Same with spiritual wellness and emotional wellness. Those two work very nicely together. Physical wellness and spiritual wellness work very nice together. So you can do like I call those my core, which is emotional, physical, and spiritual. Those are the core, and those kind of pair up nicely with some of the other ones. But yeah, if this is your year to do financial manifestation, then stick with financial for as long as you possibly can, or better yet, stick with it until you hit your goal. Right. So it could be the whole year that you work on financial, and there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, there's everything right with that. Right. It's like, you know what you want. Let's make it happen. And so that's what you would do.
Oh my goodness, I love this. I definitely love this in so many ways. And I'm going to make sure that we continue to explore this, because I would love to introduce this into the wellness community. I mean, that's part of the reason for ZenoVerse Wellness Group, as well as, 420 Wellnesses around the world, is that we plan to maintain our community, our tribe of those who are looking to, who have agreed with this intention that we've set for them, that full life is 120 years and beyond. And so
Yeah.
how do we accomplish living to 120 years and beyond,
Mhm.
mind, body, and soul? We need to nurture it all holistically. We need to be well
Very
in these
holistic.
areas. And so,
Mhm.
this is a journey. This is what we say. This is a lifetime. This is a lifestyle.
Mhm.
In Europe, they refer to doc as a lifestyle physician, and that very much resonates, because
Mhm.
to me, I always knew, which I'm glad that I knew this part of it as well, was that if I got to do the things that I love, it would never be work. And so I'm so grateful that,
Mhm.
although the discipline that's necessary, the reality is that I'm in my happy place.
Yes.
I can't wait for Monday. And that used to irk people because they thought that was so fake. And it's like, listen, anytime I'm in an environment that I'm not looking forward to Monday, well, one thing you can guarantee is I'm working my way out of this environment, because if I can't, that's a requirement for me. I
Mhm.
need to be
Mhm.
looking forward to Monday.
Right.
Otherwise, I will not be here very long.
Yeah.
It's time to bounce. It's
Yeah.
time to bounce.
Mhm.
Well, Stace, we have come up to the top of the time that we've wanted to
Yeah.
share. I wanted to ask you, were there any other thoughts that you would like to share? And then again, we want to redirect people to your website again, so make sure that you share. But
Okay.
what are some thoughts, some final thoughts that you would like to share?
Well, so final thoughts specifically about you, Stephanie Ardrey. I watched you step into a tinsel town. you know, you came just like anybody else with your dreams, but you also came with, like I said, a level of discipline, with strength, with courage, to make some things happen in your life. I watched you raise just an incredible young man. I mean, from like soon as he could talk, you knew that he was just an amazing and wonderful kid. You've been a wonderful friend, um, and yes, we've had our times where we needed time apart. And you said something else too, because you talked about some of the trials and tribulations that you faced in Los Angeles. But the thing is, I've come to this place now where I really believe that there are no accidents. Even if it's an accident, like an accident happened,
Right.
not any accident. Because if we sit back and try to harvest whatever we can, whatever is good about what came out of it, a lot of times we find out, oh man, wow, all these good things came out of that bad thing. And I never looked at it like that. I saw myself as a victim as opposed to seeing myself, as someone who really kind of came up in a situation. And when you can do that, when you can flip it around, which I think to a great degree you have been able to do that, again, that is going to help with manifestation. I know we're wrapping up. I just want to say one last thing. Today is 1/11/2023. And 111 is a very powerful manifesting day.
Hmm.
Any of the triple or quadruple digit days, if you see 111, 11112, whatever, those are very powerful days for manifesting. So today, just take a minute to think about what you really want. Just one thing. Don't get crazy. All right. Get one thing that you really want this year to be about. Write it down, engage with it, and then, yeah, put that thing to work. All right.
Wow, what a powerful gift. Wow, wow, wow. I received that. But listen, this is just the first of many conversations, because I know there, are probably a bunch of stories. You're definitely on that list that, what, I know yours too. So
I got stories.
we got stories. So we have stories. Definitely. Thank you so much, because even with
Thank
that beautiful
you.
boy that made mention to, it was you as a young mom with your grown but adorable kids, who definitely allowed you to just we would all be wrapped in. I feel like I owe Holly and Joyce some money back because they were on the ride to you getting me to a Burbank airport for a
They
flight,
were
or
always there.
they were always there. And the love, you can't take that apart, away, right? So
Yeah.
those are memories and joys, and I just love seeing them both as adults. And Holland, we follow each other on Facebook. So I feel like I get to see her as a wife, as a mother, and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And of course, I know that's because of you, and then Des, and the whole thing. So thank goodness for technology, right? In a way, we're
Right.
all
We're still connected. That's what the World Wide Web is about, connection.
yes, yes,
When
yes,
it's
yes,
used properly.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So give us the website again so that people know where to find you.
So this is my interim website. It's stacyclark.com. It is a business that is I'm impregnated with the possibilities of it. I plan to have and it started in November. So I plan to have a soft launch in June of this year, and then give it the baby shower that it deserves in October. By then I'll have the actual name. But if you're interested in any of the authentic lifestyle designer, manifesting wellness, or any of the journals that I create, you can find them there now. But stay tuned, because it is going to grow up into something really beautiful. We don't know the name yet because we haven't given birth to it yet. So we're waiting.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. Well, thank you again. It was just great. I'm grateful to be able to share this conversation, and we'll catch up again real soon. And everyone, I want to thank you all for sharing with me another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. It is my intention to share a little bit more behind the scenes of the mind, body, and soul journey, because I too am a believer that the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah.
And I believe in living my truth. So people behind the scenes, my friends, tend to know, how quirky and how funny things can be, even though in the past that hasn't necessarily always been what people experienced, across the table in the boardroom or in the business room, but we're complete people. And so I hope that this will help someone else, encourage another person along their journey, just to know that, it'll be an interesting journey. So take it all in, because it's all there for your benefit. That's the one thing that I can say without a doubt. It's all there for your benefit, and it's all about your perspective. If you choose to see
No
it,
matter what happens.
no matter what happens. And
Mhm.
so, that I'll close with, because that was the difference for me, is that no matter what happened, in each instance, I would look at it and I would be grateful for the lessons that I learned,
Mhm.
irrespective of where I was. I would just stop and I would thank God that, okay, if this is where I am, well, I'm thankful to be right here.
Yeah.
And then let me just move on from this particular point. So,
Mhm.
that's what this journey has been about. So, again, guys, next week I'll be back, naked with Dr. Money. Catch me at noon, and we'll see you then. Take care.